Section 5.5, Volume and Surface Area. In Section 5.5, we're going to be looking at the concept of volume. We're going to look at our formulas for how to find the volume of 5 different geometric solids. We're going to understand the concept of surface area and then look at formulas for how to compute surface area for 3 geometric solids. Let's begin by looking at our formulas for volume. So we're going to look at 5 different geometric solids and their formulas. Our first one is a rectangular solid. Many times we refer to that as a box. Its formula is volume equals length times width times height. For a rectangular pyramid, where the base is a rectangle, the volume is 1/3 of the length times width times height. The next thing we're going to talk about is a right circular cylinder, and to find its volume, we'll use the formula pi times the radius squared times the height. And we're still using pi to be 3.14. To find the volume of a cone, you just do 1/3 of the same formula that you use for a cylinder. So it would be 1/3 pi r squared h. And then the last thing is a sphere. To find the volume of a sphere, it's 4/3 pi r cubed. So if you'll notice, these formulas are related to each other. The rectangular pyramid and the rectangular solid are the same formula, other than the rectangular pyramid, you do 1/3 of the length times width times height. And the same thing is true for the cylinder and the cone. They both use pi r squared h, but to find the volume of the cone, you do 1/3. In our first example, we're going to find the volume of a rectangular solid with a length of 8 inches, 4 inches, and 1 foot, but we're going to write our answers in cubic inches and in cubic feet. So the first thing that we're going to do is make sure in our first example that we have everything in the same units. So we've got 8 inches by 4 inches by 1 foot, but then that makes this height 12 inches. So now the units for that first problem are all inches. So to find volume, we use length times width times height. But then we just take our length is 8 times our width is 4 times our height is 12, multiply all that together, and we end up with a total volume of 384 cubic inches. Now, for our second part to the problem, we're to do this in cubic feet. Well, you'll notice that they've converted these to 2/3, 1/3, and 1. Well, how did they get those? Well, 8 inches is 8 inches out of a total of 12 inches in a foot. So then that gives us 2/3. 4 inches is 4 out of 12, which gave me 1/3. And then 12 inches is actually 12 out of 12, which gave me 1 foot. So again, now to do the volume, we're just going to do length times width times height. But then we'll use 2/3 times 1/3 times 1, which is 2/9. But if we take our calculator, that gives us 0.22 as a decimal. And then this time our units are cubic feet. In example 2, we're finding the volume of a sphere with a radius of 9. Well, the formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Now my radius is 9, so I could now just grab my calculator and do 4/3 times 3.14 times 9 cubed and get 3052.08. And that would be in cubic centimeters because we're doing volume. Now let's find the volume of a cylinder that has a height of 10 and a diameter of 8 millimeters. So the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. Well, the radius, since the diameter was 8, that would make the radius 4. So that's going to give me pi times 16 times 10, which is 160 pi. So if we wanted our answer to be exact, we could leave it like that. Or our approximate answer will be 502.4. And again, we're doing volume, so that's cubic units, so it's cubic millimeters. Now let's look at a composition of volumes. Here we have a hemisphere, half a sphere, setting on top of a cylinder. So I'm going to find the volume of each part. And we'll do 1/2. Then my formula for a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, which actually we can go ahead and multiply 1/2 times 4/3 and get 4/6, but that simplifies to 2/3, and my radius is the same as the radius of my cylinder, which is 9. So that's going to be 2/3 of 9 cubed. So I can do 2/3 times pi times 9 cubed and get 1526.04. And that would be cubic centimeters. And now I get my volume of my cylinder, which is pi r squared h. And my radius, we already know, is 9. And my height of my cylinder is 5. So now if I do pi times 9 squared times 5, we get 1,271.7. So if I add the two of those, I get that my total volume is going to be 2797.74 cubic centimeters. In example 5, I'm going to find the volume of a cube, and they want me to find it in both cubic yards and cubic feet. So, in cubic yards, since my units are already in yards, to find the volume, it's just like doing the volume of a rectangular solid by doing length times width times height. But notice that these are all the same values. It's 3 by 3 by 3, so we could also use s cubed for a cube. So that would be 3 cubed, which would be 27 cubic yards. But then if I want to do it in cubic feet, remember that 1 yard is 3 feet. So this would now be 9 feet by 9 feet by 9 feet. So then my volume would be s cubed again, but this time it would be 9 cubed, which is 729, but that would be cubic feet. We're now going to take a few minutes and look at the formulas for surface area. So the formula for the surface area of a rectangular solid is given by 2 times LW plus 2 times WH plus 2 times LH. For a right circular cylinder, the surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi RH. And then for a sphere, the surface area is 4 pi r squared. For example 6, we're going to find the surface area of a rectangular solid. So we have a box, and we have dimensions of 30 by 10 by 40. Well, remember that our surface area is 2 times LH plus 2 times WH plus 2 times LW. And it doesn't matter what order you get them in, as long as you just get all of them paired up together. So then my area would be 2 times 30 times 40, 2 times 10 times 40, 2 times 30 times 10. And then I can use my calculator. I get 3,800. And since this is an area problem, my units will be square centimeters. Now let's find the surface area of a right circular cylinder. So we have a coffee can that's in the shape of a cylinder, and I want to find its surface area. Well, my formula for surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. So we know our radius is 2, so I'm just going to substitute in all my numbers here. And my height is 5. So again, we can use our calculator. And remember to use 3.14 for pi. And I have 87.92. And this would be square inches. At this time, I would like for you to turn to page 196 in the book and work on problems 5 through 9. Make sure that you mark any questions you have about the video or any of these problems. And again, at the beginning of the period, we'll go over the answers to these problems and answer any questions you might have.